Okay, now I'm gonna go over how to brush. I highly recommend a metal comb and a slicker brush to do the brushing. So we'll start with the head. I also like to brush my dogs in sections. So I like to start with the head. I'll slicker that, brush that, comb it, and then I will slicker the shoulder and front leg, and then comb it, and then slicker the last half, brush it, comb it, slicker it, and then the tail. So I just kind of break the dog up into quadrants. I'm gonna do all of her today in one go. You guys are more than welcome when you do this at home. Just do like a quadrant a day or something like that. Don't feel like you gotta brush the whole dog all at once. It might be a little less frustrating for you, less frustrating for the dog, and just make certain it's an enjoyable experience and you're just getting everything done that you need to get done. So I'm gonna start off with the head. I'm gonna start with my slicker. I'm gonna be really careful knowing where her eyes are at. So I slicker back away from the eyes, top of the head, over the ears, over the muzzle. And I'm gonna lift up her ear, slicker that gently. And I'm not slickering really rough, just lightly slickering, getting all the knots and clumps broken up. So I'm gonna take my comb, again, really careful where the eyes are at. Gonna go back from there, going over the muzzle, brushing that area really well. Got a little snarl right there. You can gently kind of pick at that. There's that little knot right there. Then I'm gonna go over the ears. And this might need a little bit more slickering because it's pulling on the comb a little bit more. So take my slicker, and then brush there. You can see all the broken little bits that are coming off there. And this is something that combing, slickering is what you want to do when they're all dry too. So there's no point in doing them when they're wet. So I was able to force dry her. So a lot of you guys won't be able to get them as fluffy as she is. With just letting them air dry or even using your hair dryer. We actually use a high velocity dryer that blows it and kind of fluffs the coat while we do it. So that's how we're able to get such a fluffy finish on our dogs. So you guys probably won't get them this fluffy, but you can still get them all the way combed out. So I was catching another little knot right there. I'm gonna slicker it a little bit more, take my comb, go all the way around the ear. She kind of has a greasy ear still, even though we clean them. They're just a little greasy. And some dogs will just have a little extra grease around there. Problem areas for you guys to watch for at home is they tend to mat behind their ears. So make certain you get back there. And that's only because they move their ear back and forth to listen or they perk them or whatnot. So those do tend to mat a little bit more back there. But you want to get all the way around the ear. Make certain it's brushed to the rim. Good girl. Does that feel good? Get the muzzle. I just have to get this ear. Again, I'll have to slicker it a little bit more to kind of break apart those little clumps of hair. Flip it over. And you'll notice where I'm kind of keeping my thumb to kind of protect the tender area of the ear. And I'm not gripping her ear really hard. I'm not using her ear as a handle or lever. Just gently protecting her ear with my hand. And again, getting the back of that ear. Any sort of little knots. Kind of pulling the skin forward gently, brushing back there. And again, you'll see the little broken pieces around the rim right there. And then once I'm able to get my comb all the way down to her skin, all the way around, I'll know that she's all brushed. Good girl. Good girl. Then I'm gonna move on to the body. And I'll show you another technique of brushing. It's called line brushing. So she's at kind of a manageable, what I would consider a manageable length to brush. Some dogs will be even longer than this, where if you were to just run the slicker over the top of them like this, you're brushing all the hair over the top of not getting down to the skin. So if you feel like that's what you're doing and your dog's longer than this or thicker than this, the technique of line brushing is very helpful. So what you do is kind of pull the hair back, and then with your slicker kind of pull the hair out from under your hand, and what that's doing is making certain I'm getting it all the way down to the skin. So I just kind of slowly move my hand forward as I move the slicker forward, And that's a technique of line brushing. You can do that same thing on their legs. So you'll pull the hair up. And with a straight coated dog, you'll brush down. With a curly coated dog, you can even brush up, like your Bichons, your Poodles. That will kind of see how much that's already fluffing her hair up more. You can do it on your straight coated dogs, but most of the time they're straight coated dogs, you want their hair to lay down flat. So kind of defeats that purpose. So again, then I'm just gonna slicker all the way around. I'm really gentle how I lift their leg. You want to keep in mind like how your dog would naturally move. So when I go to lift her leg, I'm not going to pull it really far out to the side or really high up because that's not a natural movement for her. She's also a little older, so I have to be careful of her hips and her joints just because of arthritis and stuff. So I'm supporting her knee. I lift it up and gently support it, brush all the way around. And then once I feel like I have that pretty well slickered, I'm going to take my comb on the fine side and brush all the way around what I just slickered. Lift the tail up. And then you can even like lift up her other back leg very gently to get in between the leg I'm doing. Then I'm gonna work to my front end. So there, I haven't really slickered yet. It was very obvious I hadn't slickered that yet because my comb was grabbing really easily. So I'm just gonna gently slicker in there. Again, I'm not using a bunch of pressure. You shouldn't have to use a ton of pressure with your slicker. You have to be careful because if you brush one spot really long and intensely, you can what we call brush burn them. It kind of looks like a raspberry when you abrade your skin, and it can bleed a little bit. So you do want to be careful with the slicker that you're not using a ton of pressure. This is a medium slicker. There are harder slickers and softer slickers. I do like the medium ones because they actually do well with getting the tangles out, but they don't tend to irritate their skin as much when used properly. So that's all brushed out. This side. So get her front leg all done. And again, you can decide if you want to slicker the entire dog and then comb the entire dog. This is just my way of doing it, and it's my routine, so I'm just used to doing it this way. So this is going to be another problem area that's going to tend to get matted is their armpits, just again from the friction of moving. So I'm going to gently pull her leg forward. Again, I'm supporting her elbow, and I'm going to get the comb in there in their armpits. Make certain I get those mats out of there. Slicker all the way around that leg. You're okay, babe. So there, she was telling me I had her leg a little too far forward for her comfort, so I had to move back to where she was comfortable having it. And then you again can lift up the opposite leg to get in there. And then I'm going to take this chance to get down her chest. This again is going to help you get to the armpit a little bit easier. And then down the front of her. I also will sometimes, like I did in the tub, lift them up if they're smaller and if they can tolerate it. Some dogs that are older can't tolerate this, so we don't do it this way, but she can tolerate it. So I lift her up to make certain I get that belly really good. Oh, baby. Okay, and then we're gonna do her tail. So the tail is gonna be like, think about, most tails are really long. So think about when you brush your own hair, you're gonna wanna start from the ends and go up. If I were to just start brushing up here, I'm just gonna be running into mats upon mats, where if I start at the bottom, I can kind of keep pushing the mats down. So I'm gonna start with my slicker again. I always start with my slicker. So slicker the tips. Okay, baby. Good girl. And some dogs don't like their tails getting brushed, so. Her tail's brushing out really quickly, so. Again, this is going to be something that getting a really good wash on them makes a difference of how easy it is to brush them out. So just they're cleaner, slicker, all that kind of stuff. They don't have any gummy dirt in there that you're fighting against along with the tangles and mats. So good girl, sis. Good girl. So once I feel like my slicker doesn't have much resistance anymore, I'm going to again take my comb and check my slicker work with my comb. You're okay, babe. Good girl. Good girl. And then again, I'm just gonna kind of pick till I can go all the way down, making certain I'm getting all the way down to the tailbone. Or all the way down to the skin, I guess. There's a little tangle up there that I didn't get on the other side yet. I'm gonna loosen that up a little bit with my slicker. And then another mat that forms a lot on tails is right under here above the anus. And I think it's just from them wagging their tail, again, having friction. So I make certain I get my comb and get up underneath there and get the mats out. And then when I brush around the anus, I'm be really careful that I know where it's at so I don't accidentally get the comb or the slicker in it. And then again, watch out for her lady bits. Just know where all that stuff is at all times just so you don't accidentally harm them. All right, and that's how you brush out. Obviously, I will mimic this on the other side, but that is how I break my dogs up into quadrants, brush them out, first starting with the slicker, then finishing up with the comb.